Hello, hello. Welcome to our Wednesday Q&A. I'm so excited to have you guys here. And we've had quite a few submissions today for our channel reviews. So we had to just choose 3 today, and I just chose 3 based on, what's going to be most helpful and kind of different issues that different people are dealing with. So I chose 3. If I didn't choose yours today, there were a couple people in there that are in our video editing program, and we do have a call on Fridays as well, so I can do that channel review on Friday if you want to join us for our Friday call. So if I don't choose you today and you're in our video editing program, just join us for that call on Friday, and I can go over yours. So we'll let a few more people, before I get started on the channel reviews, I just want to make sure I give people enough time to pop in here. So while you guys are hopping in here, go ahead and post in the comments and let me know where you're at, where you're coming from, where you're listening from, and maybe if you have any questions about YouTube that you'd like me to answer. Levi is in Cabo with Travis today, and so he's not here with me today. He will be back next week, but hopefully I can go in and answer some of your really big questions today, even without him. So. All righty, so I'm seeing, okay, good. We've got quite a few people who are popping on now. So we'll go ahead and go into, I'm going to close some of my other windows because you're going to be hearing some of my Slack notifications going off like crazy, because we always have great things happening with the video editing team. And I'm sure that I've got lots of messages to look at after here, but you guys don't need to hear all of the popping in the background. So awesome, cool. We've got Detroit, Michigan, California, Los Angeles, California, Sarasota, Florida. Hey, how are you? And also go ahead and put your names in there, because I know a lot of you are following our method, as you should. And so your channel name is probably not your actual name. So if you go ahead and just say where you're from, what your channel is about, and who you are in your comment, that will help me to be able to call you out appropriately. I'd much rather call you by your name than your channel name. Okay, cool. Well, let's go ahead and go into some of these channel reviews really quickly. Oh, okay, cool. And so Jonna, Ashley Novak, cool. Cindy, we've got Scott from Portland. So cool. So good to have you guys here today. I'll go ahead and share my screen, and I've only ever done this one other time, so apologies if this is going to take me a minute. Present, share screen. Okay, we're gonna do our entire screen here. Okay, cool. Okie dokie. So let's start with living in the East Bay, California. So first of all, I have to compliment you on your headshots. Your headshots are great. This is exactly what we like to see, is the different expressions. So for those of you who have never been on one of these calls before, one of the things we always recommend is that you have a bunch of different expression shots. And just like we teach in the program, it looks like you're about 30% in most of these. And so that's what I would definitely recommend, is continue to have your headshots be about 30% of the thumbnail. I would recommend testing to see what it does for you if you flip you on the right-hand side instead of the left-hand side, just because we generally tend to speak in a Z formation, or to read, sorry, we read in a Z formation. And so you want to put the most important information on the top left-hand side. And so sometimes when you put your face there, that's what people focus on, and they completely miss the text. So try flipping yourself to the right-hand side, still using that same big size, which is great, and see what that does for you. It may enhance just your overall click-through rate, and you may find that makes a big difference for you. But so far, so good. There are a couple of these that I could see, like having a little bit more contrast would be good. Like this orange on green is a little bit hard to see, so you may want to do like a green or a white outline or something along those lines. Just contrast is one thing you definitely want to be careful of, because if you were to zoom out and think of it on like a mobile screen, you have to think about it from a mobile perspective, and can someone actually read what it says from when it's really, really small? So always kind of use that as a rule of thumb. I do like just the variety that you have though, and you do seem to have some good thumbnails going on so far. And it looks like you only got a couple of videos, so you've got some room to grow still. But overall, it's a good start. So I would just say flip your headshots to the right-hand side, add a little bit more contrast. Like, for instance, like the good and the bad of Dublin, California, should you move? First of all, probably too many words. That's another thing I would probably change. 3 to 4 words is typically what we want, because the thumbnail is really more to catch the attention. It's the clickbait. And then the title of your video can be more explanatory and kind of tell people what they're going to learn a little bit in a little bit more characters. But I would keep it really short, simple. you know, very eye-catching words on your thumbnail. And usually we, as a rule of thumb, only have 3 to 4 that we recommend. So like It Costs What? That's a much better title than What Do You Need to Know About Dublin, California? And then you also have Dublin underneath that, even though you didn't put that there. It's another word that people are trying to read. And that will probably help you to make sure that your backgrounds are really good contrast as well. It will give you a little bit more freedom to make the text a little bit bigger and add a stroke without taking away too much from the background image. So that's definitely what I would recommend there. Your banner is very to the point, which is great. The only thing that I would do is, again, you want to have a couple of very intentional calls to action on your banner. The first one is to subscribe to your channel and why they should subscribe to the channel. And the second is to call you. And that's actually the most important one. And so having it again on that right-hand side, that's how we read, right? We go like this. So you want to have that arrow that points to the call button. I'm seeing that you have a subscribe button. You're also going to want to add like click here to schedule a call with me. So we usually recommend using something along the lines of Calendly, or if you're using our CRM system, we have that built in. It's very similar to Calendly, but it's a booking system and a CRM system all in one. And so I would recommend having that here in your banner and having that be your second call to action. So you can have the subscribe button there and the give me a call or schedule a call with me there as well. It does look like most of this is going to fit here inside of mobile version, so that's good. It is going to be a little bit blank here. You know, there is a little bit of dead space, but you know, ultimately, I think that's a very nitpicky thing. If I was going to do anything, I'd probably take this, move this over here, and then just have this be a little bit bigger so that people can even see a little bit more of the text a little bit simpler. And then have your little arrow there. Now, again, that's very nitpicky. I think overall, again, if your intent was to make sure that you could see all of this in the mobile version, you're definitely going to accomplish that with this banner. But overall, really, really good. You're off to a really good start. Looks like you've just got a couple of videos here. So let's go look at your about section really quick. Let's see. Yep, looks like you've got a lot of things here. The one thing that I would say is you probably want to start your description off here because Google tends to read like the very beginnings of your descriptions for your videos, for anything that you put out on the internet. When it comes to spidering and going through the keywords, you're going to want to have the very first sentence be the most impactful. And so while you do have your contact information here, which is great, it's not really telling people why they should call you. You haven't really earned that yet. And so for me, I would rather see something along the lines of, if this channel is all about this and this and this, and if you're thinking about moving to here, then I'm the person to help you with that, basically along those lines. If you wanted to look at Levi's, you'll kind of see what the difference is there. He does have a small paragraph at the top of that, and then he introduces his contact information. So again, you want to give people a reason to call you before you try to give them the information to call you. And you have to be more intentional about this type of stuff than anything else because our attention spans are so small. So you have to be very intentional when you're on a digital platform. So that's really the main thing that I would say. Other than that, everything really is off to a great start. So just keep creating those videos. It looks like you are doing a good job with those. And I'll just kind of look at a quick preview of what I like your intro. Your intro's nice. Perfect. And it looks like you've got a good start here. Let's look at this one and just see if there's anything to add here. Nice job following the format to a T. I like it. I would actually add an icon. You can get overlays in a bunch of different stock providers. You can get an overlay for subscribe, like, and tapping the bell. I would do that just again, because you have to be very intentional to capture people's attention. And it also just kind of breaks it up. It's what we like to call pattern interrupts. And so anytime that you can add something like that to your video, adding text, adding an overlay, adding a sound effect, adding a picture overlay, anything like that, drone footage overlay, that's what we call a pattern interrupt. So anytime that you can add those, especially at the very beginning when you're really trying to capture people, even if you're purely doing that from just like an attention a place of attention, I would add that. It also just makes it very easy for them to be like, especially for people who are a little bit more tech challenged, who maybe aren't as familiar with YouTube. If you show them what the icons look like, they're more likely to go down and actually click those buttons. So I probably add that. Well, yeah, and you're doing a great job with actually putting the text up there and everything. The only thing that I would say is just give it a little bit more contrast. So that green against kind of the brown in the background is going to be difficult to see, especially when you have it on a smaller screen. So just as you're making more videos, just always think, okay, am I going to be able to see this on a mobile screen? Would this stand out on a mobile screen? But everything else is really looking very good. Even your optimization looks pretty good here. I'm seeing some good keywords, some short form and some long form keywords here. So that's great. Let's look at your description down here. You've got chapters, which is awesome. I would make your description a smidge longer. Usually we like to see about a 250 word description here, filled with all of the different tags that you have. And I don't see, I'm not sure if I can see your tags. I'm not seeing your tags here. I'd have to go back into the back end and see what you have there, but it's important that you actually include a lot of your tags here in this part of the description. This is the part that's going to get you ranked right here. People don't typically read all of this, but Google definitely does. And so it will help you rank if this is a little bit longer. But I'm seeing I'm seeing some other really good keywords in here though. So that's really awesome. So yeah, I would just say make this a little bit longer. I would add a third hashtag here because usually having at least 3 hashtags here is the ideal number. We have between 3 and 5 depending on the video, but I would add maybe one more hashtag that's relevant to the video in particular, and then add this to the length of this just a little bit. Yep, you've got some hashtags down here, which is good. And then, of course, we'd have to look and see what your tags look like. But overall, really, really good. I think especially for your first videos, you seem very comfortable on camera. And I think that overall you have the flow down really well. So just keep going. And a lot of the things that I kind of picked out today are just things that get better with time. And so you just have to kind of continue to do that and you kind of nail down your own personal flow. But overall, I mean, you feel very comfortable on camera. So way to go. Kudos to you. I think that was really good. So just a couple of things to recap, I would just add a little bit more of a description. I would flip on your thumbnails to have you on the right side versus the left-hand side, and just add a little bit more contrast with your text against the backgrounds of your thumbnails. And I think that you're going to be on your way. So great job. Really great job. I'll pop back over here to StreamYard just to make sure that I'm catching everybody's questions here. And then we'll move on to another review. Make sure. Let's see. More people coming in here. We've got Rob coming from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Awesome. Okay, so we've got a second review here, and then we can answer some questions. So feel free, as well as I'm going through these, if you guys have questions, feel free to drop those into the comments as well. I'll probably answer those at the end of my 3 reviews that I do today, but I do want to make sure that I answer everybody's questions today too. So make sure that you're dropping those there, and I will answer those as I get them. But in the meantime, let's go to our second review that we have here. So share our screen here. We'll go to the entire screen. Okay, so hopefully you guys, yeah, I think you guys can see that now. Okay, fantastic. So Jonathan Nye, he's in Georgia, which is where I'm at. So I'm excited to see yours. And drop in the comments, let's see what part of, and actually I could go to your about section and see what part of Georgia that you're in. Atlanta, Georgia, awesome. Yep, I'm not too far from you. I'm up in Fort Oglethorpe, so not too far away from you. Okay, great. So let's take a look. So overall, your banner is not bad, but there is a little bit of a contrast problem here. I would definitely say that this probably, your logo probably needs to be a little bit smaller, because again, when people are searching for information, they're less interested in who you are and what your brand is than what they're actually going to get out of it. So I would really emphasize subscribe to learn all about living in Atlanta, Georgia. And see, that's another thing too. That's a question I should ask you. Are you wanting to sell all over Georgia? Or are you only wanting to sell in Atlanta, Georgia? Because that's something I had to go and check, was in your about section. where do you actually serve? And I think it should be very, very clear here in your banner exactly what areas you serve, because if people have to go searching out information, I knew where to find it because I'm, on YouTube all the time, right? But I don't think that most people would know to go to your about section to figure that out. So I would make it a little bit more clear on where you actually service here. And then, of course, just add a little bit more contrast here, because the subscribe is kind of falling into the black or the blue background. And so it's a little bit difficult to see. It might be a font issue. It might be a color issue, but I would play around and maybe using the white outline versus like this black or gray outline. That might help a little bit. This is a great graphic though. This right here, what I would probably do is kind of like, I know that probably, and I can kind of tell that you're trying to keep all of this here with the mobile version, but I would actually say it might be better to just pull this over here and have it be on the desktop version only, and then make this whole call to action, this entire section right here. I would much rather be telling people, especially on mobile, you have to think about how people use mobile. It's very intentional, right? If they're coming to your channel, it's a lot harder to navigate to a long form video and to find somebody on a long form video on a phone than it is on a on desktop or on TV, just because you have a little bit more space to type it out, right? It's faster. And so when you're on mobile, you have much less attention span to work with. And so I would make it extremely clear what you're going to give to this person to make sure that they actually stay on your channel and actually watch your videos. So I'd be very intentional about that. I would make most of your text take up the majority of your mobile view. And then of course, I think this is a great graphic. So you could keep you guys in here. I might make this a little bit bigger and maybe give you a drop shadow or give you some type of stroke, because again, if I pulled back from this and on a mobile view, I may not be able to see how big you guys actually are. And I might not be able to tell what the image is, especially since his outfit is blue and it kind of blends in. I can see this picture pretty clearly, and your picture really clearly, but this person kind of fades into the background because the colors are kind of the same. So I might give you guys some type of shadow or a stroke or something along those lines. That would be my suggestion there. The other thing that's missing here is that you do not have like a call to action here. So I would definitely make sure that that's added here. We're going to need like a subscribe button would be the second thing you'd want. But the number one thing you're going to want there is a call to action to actually give you a call. So that was kind of what I was saying on the last review. You're going to want to have like a call on a calendar, or if you have our CRM system, setting it up through there, it's very similar to Calendly, but basically make it very simple for them to call you or set up an appointment with you. That should be really your most important call to action here. But yeah, those two calls to action are always very important. As long as you have those two calls to action on your banner very, very clearly, you have a successful banner. And then you can play around with the style, make it a little bit different here and there. Those types of extra additions don't bother me as long as those two call to actions are there and very, very clear. So let's go back over here, and it looks like you're doing some shorts, which is amazing. Great job. And it looks like your thumbnails are pretty good as well. So I like those. So continue to doing those. The shorts are great. And a lot of people ask me about shorts and how I feel about them. And honestly, shorts on YouTube are still so unknown. So I think just keep producing them. And I think if you're creating content that is based around, just like we do with the long form content, it's based around what people are actually asking about, they can actually help grow your subscriber count a lot faster than the long form. But we honestly haven't gotten any calls off of our short form content. It's all been because of a long form video that they've watched. So I think that shorts can influence their decision to watch more long form videos. And I think that's really where the true value is that it influences them to come and actually be on your channel a little bit longer and actually watch your long form videos. So let's go down to your thumbnails here. And it looks like we do have thumbnails, but they don't really look like thumbnails. So that's kind of another thing that we were talking about on the other channel is contrast is super duper important. And so here I can't even barely see what that says from where I'm sitting right now. If I were to lean in, I might be able to see it. Yeah, how I got into real estate, I can see it when I lean in a little bit, but from this, and maybe it's just because my eyes are bad, and truthfully, my eyes are pretty bad, but it's just too small. You want to account for the fact that some people are watching this on mobile. Some people are watching this on their desktop. Some people have a smaller screen desktop computer. I mean, there's some people who walk around and not everybody has, a really nice laptop either. Some people have a Chromebook, and those are pretty small screens. tablets, you know, so you have to account for different screen sizes. And if it's not visible on every screen size, it's probably not a good enough thumbnail. So I do like the smiling face though. And I think that this has potential to be a really good thumbnail if you were to add a little bit more color, a little bit more contrast, and then just the sizing just needs to be a little bit bigger. So that's one thing I would change there. This isn't bad either. I do like the overall look and feel of this one with the pretty sky in the background. It has some good contrast there. I would say that the text is a little bit boring, and it's not contrasting enough for me. So probably green on red is not really ideal. I would look at the color wheel and kind of decide, oh, okay, you want to find complementary color or contrasting colors, excuse me, that really pop against each other. And if you go directly across on the color wheel, you're going to see exactly what that is. So for like this pink, I would probably, white would be really great against this. So you could do like a white, you could do, you know, we'd have to look at the color wheel. I can't just off the top of my head remember what we would do, but I would just try to find something a little bit more contrasting here, and then even consider adding a stroke or a shadow to it to really make it stand out. But other than that, I mean, I do like the headshot that you chose. You did choose a clear headshot, and it does feel like it contributes to the overall subject of the video. So that part I am fine with. I think it's really more the text on that one that I would change. And then this one right here is another example of just, it's very difficult for me to see. And one of the C's, there's several C's of marketing, and one of them is confusing. And if that means that basically if something is confusing to a client, they're going to completely just pass over it. And this one right here is very confusing to me. I can't really tell just from this perspective. I'm like, is that my first thought actually when I looked over it, just glanced over it, which is what most people would do. It looked like a shopping mall to me, especially because you have those little characters that are standing there. I can't see what's in the speech bubble. And then I really could not tell it was a house just because it's just kind of busy in the background. And so I would be very clear with what your background is. Make sure it's got some good contrast with it. Like this one, it's very clear to see that that's a house. Here it's very clear that you're sitting on a couch. Here, it's just, there's a lot of kind of neutral colors in the background. And then you've got people in the center that are just completely different than what the rest of the thing is. So it looked like a shopping mall to me, which it's obviously not when I look a little bit closer. But again, you have to think about the attention span. And is someone going to take enough time to actually look at that in detail and try to figure out what that is? If it's too confusing, it's going to get passed over. So I'd probably find something a little bit more contrasting. I'd refer to our thumbnail. If you're in our course, which I believe that you are, I would look at your thumbnail module and go over and see what you could do to make those a little bit better. I don't think we're too far off here, but I think we could probably improve these quite a bit. And I think that you were planning on doing stuff with the video editing team too. So we can help you with that. If you're not wanting to do the thumbnails, if you're doing the video editing, we can definitely help you do that too. But overall, I mean, you've got lots of good elements here. Yeah, this description is really good. I feel like you've got all of the elements that you need here. So a lot of your back end setup is great. It's just a couple of little design features that I would probably switch out. Okay, let me pop in here really quick. I'm going to just make sure, and I'm going to take a drink because as you know, when I run these trainings, I talk lightning fast and I don't even stop to breathe. So I'm going to take a little drink here so I don't lose my voice. All right, we've got Casey O'Neill, and he's from Arlington. Hey, Casey. Okay, Vancouver, Washington living. Are we to have the hashtags at the top and the bottom? I have only done them at the bottom. Yeah, so you can do the hashtags. Now, the hashtags in the bottom, and maybe I glanced over that too quickly. You're supposed to have 3 to 5 in the description, and the first 3 are going to show up at the top. So maybe I skipped over that. That might have been totally fine. But yes, you want to put them in the description, and that's going to show up. Your top 3 are going to show up in like at the very top. YouTube will populate that for you. Awesome. Let's see. Hey, and it's Adam. Hey, what's up, Adam? How are you? Awesome. He's in the video editing program too. Oh, that's probably something to mention too. If you guys haven't seen that email already, if you've been on the fence about doing video editing, now's the time to do it because we are going to have our prices go up on April 10th. And so people who are in the program, who are active in the program, they're going to be able to keep the price that they're at right now and whatever they end up coming in at. But then if you come in after that, that program changes prices on April 10th, then that's going to be the price that you'll be at for the lifetime of your membership. So that is something to keep in mind. Let's see, Eva. Let's see, Krissy, you said editing course. Is that where you is that when you purchase an editing package? So we have, no, so we don't have an editing course. We have the passive prospecting course. If you came in as one of our done with you clients, we do include 30 days of video editing included with your course purchase. So there's that way of coming in. And then of course we just have individual packages as well. And the individual package prices are going up. So if you come in, you know, after that time, then we won't be able to give you the pricing that we have now after April 10th. So awesome. And then, hey, Casey, and let me see if I'm going to have time. We had so many submissions this week, but we do have a video editing support call on Fridays. So if I don't get to yours today, Casey, then we can actually do yours on Friday. So anybody who's in the video editing program, we do have a Friday support call that's a lot like this, where we just do Q&A. I can dive into your channels. I can look at your analytics and things like that. So that's definitely something to take advantage of if you're in the editing program. You do need to sign up for that. It's in on your coordinate board, which is our workflow program. So you'll see it in the summary section. So if you have never come to that call before, it's definitely a great call to be on. We get lots of great questions. But Casey, I might still be able to get to yours today. So we'll just see. We usually only do 3. But I might have time to do yours as well. So we'll just see. Yes, Adam says sponge, because some people just come and they are a sponge when they come to that call. And sometimes it's great just to come on and just see what other people are asking and be a part of the conversation and just see, you know, what you can absorb. And so we always call those people our sponges in the group. So if you want to come and be a sponge, you can totally do that too. All right, let's pop in and do another channel review here. All righty, share my screen here. I'm going to get the hang of this and do this a lot faster in the future. Okay, so our next one, I think this is Ashley. Is it Ashley Novak? I hope that I got your name right. But it looks like you're in the yep, Ashley Novak. Here you are, and John Schultz. Awesome. So I like your banner. I do think that it's a little busy, because one thing that I'm noticing here is that living in Los Angeles is the biggest part of this. And it's like, okay, living in Los Angeles, what does that mean? Is this, you know, a reality series? Is this is this a lifestyle show? Is this a shopping show? Like, I can't really tell just based on this right here what this is about. So again, it's kind of going back to what I was saying before. You want to make your calls to action extremely clear. I love the look and feel, by the way. The look and feel is great. I would just change the wording a little bit and have this be more important than living in Los Angeles. This is not telling people exactly what they're going to learn and why they should subscribe to you. So I would rather see subscribe here, subscribe to learn about living in Los Angeles. And then you can have living in Los Angeles down here if you wanted to. You can have your names down here if you wanted to, but I would make your call to action extremely clear here. Because again, this is where our mobile cuts off, and your mobile people are going to have even a shorter attention span than people who are on desktop. And so you want to make sure that this is extremely well-used space. And this just, to me, doesn't really tell me a whole lot about what you do. So a lot of people will just glance over that. They're not going to spend the time to figure out what this small text says. But I do like this let's meet in person on Zoom. I think this is great. I love the icon that you used here. It's very creative and there's enough contrast here. So I do really like that. And then over here, I think this is great too. If you want to put your new videos every week, that's great here. It is a little difficult to see what every week says. So maybe throw a shadow on that just to give it a little bit of contrast without having to change the color. But overall, I do like the use of the space right here. I think the biggest criticism I have is just right here and just making sure your call to action is very, very clear. But really, really, really nice design though. I do like that. Yeah, let's look at some of your thumbnails down here as well. Your thumbnails have some really good contrast. I do like these quite a bit. This is an example right here and this one right here of probably too many words. So that's another thing just to emphasize. I would not do more than 3 to 4 words. Occasionally we'll throw on a 5th word if it's just absolutely not possible to get away with less than 5 words, like especially if you have a city that's like Los Angeles is 2 words, that takes up a lot of the space, right? So maybe 5, we kind of count that as 1 because it's the location. But if you can avoid it, doing more than 3 or 4 or doing less than 4 is ideal. 3 to 4 is ideal for your words. And so you just notice like this one right here, This one is so clear. It's like so easy to tell what this video is going to be about. Same with this one right here. And you're noticing like 1.2 thousand views right here, 1.6 thousand views. Now, again, I don't know if you put ad spend into this, but for me, what I'm seeing just on face value, I'm seeing that these performed very, very well. This one, you know, not so much, because again, this is just, there's too many words there. It's just not as clear as what this one or this one is. So, you know, I think those can be improved. This one, again, it's just too many words. And again, we're going to talk a lot about, in the future, you'll probably hear me talk a lot about those C's, and confusing being the one I like to focus on the most, because anytime you've got a background that's really confusing, people are going to pass over it. If someone were to see this in a general search, the words for me, and I'm a little bit ADHD, and I naturally kind of just glaze over stuff that's just too long. And so I can see most people, and most people act like they have ADHD when they're on social media and when they're on search engines like this. So you have to treat everyone like they have ADHD on YouTube. You really do. This is just too many words. And then this background, it almost looks like, at first glance, I'm looking at it and I'm like, is that like crypto? Is it the stock market? Is it like some digital image? I mean, if I looked really close, I can tell it's a cityscape that's kind of been faded out, but then the red is kind of clashing with that too. So I can't even read crashing from that far back. So that one's probably not enough contrast right there. So I would really go back to our thumbnail training and just see what the ideal kind of look and feel is. Make sure you have lots of contrast. Same thing with this one right here. This is great. This is great. This blue blends into everything. So the only thing I would say you need to do with that is probably just add a stroke to that. If you added a white stroke to that, super easy to see what that says, right? So this is, I mean, overall, I like the look and feel of your stuff. It's just probably just dialing back a little bit on the number of words that you use in each thumbnail. And then again, just making sure there's plenty of oomph and contrast with each one of your thumbnails. That's going to be really important. But you're not off to a bad start at all. I really do like, just like this one right here. This is a really great thumbnail. The yellow could probably be a different color a little bit slightly, but overall, I mean, I love the explained is popping out at me. So really, really great start. Just a few little tweaks there. Let's go look at your about section. Yep, this channel is all about living in Los Angeles and moving to Los Angeles, which I love. You've got keywords right there at the very beginning, which is really great. And then you've got your contact information down here. So that's fantastic. You did that exactly right. Let's go look at your playlist here. And you've got playlists here. Let's also go look here in your full. That's one thing you can actually improve here. Most people do not know that you can add a description for each playlist, and you can optimize a full playlist, which will help you show up in the search results. So I would go into each one of your playlists and actually create an explanation and a description. Complete it with your contact information. Like this, this playlist is all about living in Manhattan, very similar to how you would do it in your about section. This channel or this playlist is all about living in Manhattan Beach, moving to Manhattan Beach, houses in Manhattan Beach, California, you know, going through your major keywords for that particular area and making a really solid description. You can do a pretty long description here. So I would do, you know, a good solid paragraph like you did in your about section, and then just complete every single playlist with your contact information. And that's going to help you rank significantly as well. So I would go and do that for each one of your playlists. That's definitely something you could implement right away. And then we'll wrap this one up by just looking at a video and seeing if there's anything that we want to improve there. Cool, I like your intro. Let's see how long your intro is, because that is one thing we've been advising people is actually to shorten your intro. So if it's longer than 4 to 6 seconds, we're asking people to probably chop it down to closer to that time frame, just because people start to lose interest after about that long. And we've seen some increased click-through rates or view duration when those intros start to get cut down a little bit. So let me just see how long this is. I really like the intro though. The intro's nice. No, you guys are actually, that wasn't bad. I think that was about 6.5 seconds. So that's perfect. Yeah. Really great job on that. That's one thing that I would probably add to these videos is a lot of times, especially at the beginning with listing videos, you want to make sure that it's really clear what the stats of the house are. And so I would check on that and make sure that you're adding that in there, because I saw an initial stat right here, but as you were saying, like, I don't even remember how many beds. See, I can't even remember after just watching it, how many beds, how many baths, what the square footage was, what the price point was. I've completely forgotten that, just, even looking at this from a critical eye lens, somebody who's watching this video and trying to get a feel for what this house is like, they're probably not taking notes on how big the house is or the stats on that. So I'd probably have just a small pop-up here, or some type of nice text pop-up giving the stats so that visually they can make that memory, and that will help them kind of remember you and remember the house a little bit more. So those pattern interrupts are really important. I am seeing that you are adding a few of them through here. But if you find it, I generally, with the video editing team too, we generally like to see, like, if we don't see a whole lot of change, like if someone's standing in the same place for a couple of seconds without any type of pattern interrupt, it's a problem for us, because we want to keep people's attention as much as possible. So if you're not moving around, if you're not like changing locations, you're not showing something on the map, then I would recommend adding some extra pattern interrupts. Now that could be in the form of cutting out some ums and just having it kind of jump a little bit. That's what a lot of creators do, is they'll just have it jump a little bit, and it's just that subtle jump, just from a cutting perspective, that will kind of draw the eye back in. But you just want to always think of somebody, and I think that's probably my theme of the day, is treat every person like they have ADHD on YouTube, because really our behavior is very ADHD like when it comes to social media and looking through things. You have to think about, how do I grab their attention? How do I bring them back in? How do I re-engage that person? You have to think of that the entire time you're through the video. And so we can do a lot of that on the editing side. So when you're talking and stuff and you feel like you're in the same place for a long period of time, just add some things in there on the editing side, on the production side, to make it, and so it can pull people back in with those pattern interrupts. But overall, great job. I think that this is looking really good. It's very clean. It's definitely giving off that luxury vibe, which I love. And so just keep doing what you're doing and just make those small little design tweaks, and I think you're on your way. But things are looking really great. And it looks like you have 119 videos here, so that's fantastic. Let's take one quick look, though, before I get too far ahead of myself. Let's look at your latest one and just see what your description looks like, to make sure we can't make any improvements there. Yep. And so this was something I was kind of suspecting as well, is that you need to have a longer description here. It needs to be about 250 words long. So I would go back to the course where we talk about the SEO and how to optimize a video. There's actually a full video on that, and it will tell you how to make this description a little bit more impactful. But yes, I am seeing that you've got your chapters here, which is fantastic. With your chapters, you are going to make them keyword centric. And so you're going to want to add some keywords into here to make these a little bit more searchable, because they will show up on Google if they have relevant keywords in them. And so I would look down into your tag section, which again, I can't see that from this side. But in your tag section, you're going to want to pull out the most relevant. Usually I like to go with like the first top, like 4 to 5, the most important keywords that you have for ranking in your tag section. I like to make sure that all of those are actually in the description. So incorporating those into these chapters will help them be more searchable. Let's see what else we got here. Yep, you got your hashtags down here. You've pinned your comment, which is amazing. So you're doing a lot of things right. I would say most of the critiques I have for you today are design items, but those are easy to fix. So if you can fix those things and add a little bit of extra SEO oomph to your descriptions, I think you'll be on your way with that. Okay, great. Let me stop sharing here for a second, and let's talk about some of your questions here in the comments. It looks like we've got a couple of these coming in here, so I want to make sure I get to these. Let's see, how do I submit my channel for review? Yes, so if you're in our school group, which means that you've purchased our program, then our member group in school, we release a post 24 hours in advance of this call, and we will go through and try to pick the best out of those, the ones that are going to be the most helpful to people, because we usually get more than 3 submissions. So I will warn you, we do get more than 3 submissions almost every time. And so I do have to kind of pick and choose which ones we can do. And I'll usually base that on the ones that if we have reviewed your channel in the past, I probably won't review you again, at least for a little bit. And then of course, if I feel like this is a channel that's like the ones that I chose today, they all have very different things that I wanted to cover. And so I'll usually choose what's going to be the most helpful to people. But again, if you're in our video editing program, you can also submit for our Friday calls too. And I can go into detail on your Friday calls. And so we can definitely do that. Let's see. Living in Denver, Colorado. You mentioned, oh, I should probably add these to the thing so you could see them. You mentioned you are doing 3 videos a week. When you upload a short, are you considering that one of the 3 videos? Thanks. And Angel, thank you for your submission on that. We do not count our shorts towards our 3 videos a week. Now, if you're talking about on the video editing side and whether you can use that, we actually have a shorts program that we are working on right now. It's not live yet, but we are working on it, and we'll probably be announcing something along those lines in like 30 to 60 days. We are very close to being able to offer that to the masses, but we're just kind of fine-tuning some things. So if you're talking about that, not currently, you can't submit that as one of your 3 videos. However, we do have, a program that you can do 3 separate videos, and we do encourage you to supplement with shorts videos. So we get the question a lot, like, should I do more than 3 videos a week? Is it ideal if we want to just like flood our community? Should we do more than 3 videos a week? And I generally don't advise doing more than 3 long form videos a week. If you are going to want to do extra footage or extra videos, I should say, I would try to do some shorts to supplement and kind of attack from a different side of the algorithm, and then do some lives as well, because the lives and the shorts are ranked completely differently than the long form videos. They're a completely different type of video. It's the same thing with podcasts. We have podcasts that have recently launched on YouTube as well, and those are ranked completely differently than a long form video. So it's not, there's so much of an individuality that comes with the algorithm. That's what makes YouTube so unique, is that it's really very individualistic with the videos and the video types. They're all ranking differently. So if you're thinking about doing more than 3 videos a week, I would rather have you come at it from a different angle rather than trying to add to 3, because you want some level of scarcity when it comes to your YouTube channel. Because again, you know what happens, like we go onto Netflix and there's a series that comes out and all 20 of the episodes are available right then. They'll probably watch all 20 of the other episodes and then they never search for that again for the next year, right? You want more of the consistency, because the consistency is what builds up your SEO value. It's what's going to push it out to other people. You don't want mass viewers and then they never come back. You want to give them enough that they always want to know a little bit more. They always want to come back. They want that consistency. So that will make a better viewer and a better viewer relationship for you. Let's see. Our agents shoot a lot of walking tour videos of our properties and properties we are touring for our clients. We used to put them on our channel, but we stopped. Should we make another YouTube channel for our walking tour videos? Honestly, it kind of depends. I mean, the walking tours, I think if it's real estate related and you've been somewhat consistent with your channel, I don't always believe that it's the right thing to go and create a brand new channel. Just because if you do have existing viewers that are there because they want to see real estate content, then you might as well use the audience that you have to kind of push it out. Now, again, if that's something that you've had a walking tour channel that has been alive for 3 years, you haven't posted to it for 2 of those years, might not be the best thing to start with what you have. Or, we had a question not too long ago that we had a content creator that basically had a fitness journey on the same channel as their real estate journey. And that in that situation, we weren't quite sure if it was the right fit for us. It ended up that they only had like 1 or 2. So we ended up unlisting those. But say that you had 50% of your journey was fitness and 50% of your journey was houses and showing houses, then that would probably be a situation where I'd say the audience is too murky, we want to start over and start with a fresh audience. So it kind of depends. It depends on the age of your channel, how frequently you've been posting to that channel, and just a variety of factors. So we probably have to look at it and figure that out just based on what we can see in your stats. We probably shoot 3 to 4 videos a week. So yeah, if you've been consistent with it, then I don't think there's a reason for you to have to create a brand new channel. I think, again, if it's real estate related and you have real estate clients that are viewing your content, then that's a good candidate for a channel that's going to do well with real estate clients, right? So I would say build on the audience that you have, build on the momentum that you have, and just kind of shift gears and start doing a little bit more of kind of the vlog style that we do now. And shift kind of just the way and the direction of the actual content itself. It's new and we're following you. Yeah, great. Awesome. Yeah, I think that's great. Yeah, no need to create a brand new channel. I think that you're good with what you've got. Cool. Any other questions today, guys? I'm not sure. Casey, I wanted to get to yours, but we've only got a couple of minutes left. And so I'm not 100% sure I'm going to be able to get through a full channel review for you. So let's do yours on Friday. I think we had 2 or 3 other people who may have submitted their channels as well for Friday, so we can do that. Yes, and Discover South Florida. We had Living in Los Angeles says, love the name Discover South Florida. Yeah, I think that that's great. And that's another question that I think I'll address before we wrap up today. We have a lot of people who ask, oh, do we have to do it living in, South Florida, living in Detroit, living in New York City? You do not have to do that. It is kind of a catchy thing right now because a lot of people are doing the living in channels, but you have to base it off of your search volume in your particular area. So if you find that, you go and you do a search for Discover South Florida, and that's got a great score and it's got some great search traffic, search volume every month, then go for it. I think that that's a great title. Try to think creatively, because especially as we get into the next year or two, there's going to be a lot of people doing this exact same thing. So you do want to stand out. So try to find something that really has a great keyword score, has a great traffic score, but it is also unique. You don't have to completely copy. We love the idea of modeling versus copying, where you go in and you find the overall model, but you find places where it's appropriate to tweak it to be your own. So that's what I would recommend. Let me just go through here and make sure I grabbed everybody's questions. And then if we don't have any more questions today, then we'll go ahead and wrap up because we're almost to the top of the hour here. Let's see. I think we got everybody's questions today. Let's see. We were able to get the URL for Discover South Florida, so we leaned into the name. Yep, and on Friday, the training, I believe, is at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let me double check on that just to make sure. I don't want us to lead you astray here, but I believe that it is on Fridays at 3 p.m. Eastern. And yeah, we'll be able to kind of dive in a little bit more. And with the video editing program, the benefit of doing it on that call versus this one, is that we can actually take your action items directly to the editors pretty quickly after that versus, this one, we're diving into lots of other aspects of the course and channels and all of that stuff. So it's a little bit more streamlined when you're already in the program when we do those channel reviews in a channel review setting. So we'll go ahead and do yours on Friday. So no worries about that. I will have you at the top of my list, Casey. So no matter what, we'll get yours done on Friday. Okay. Let's see. Does optimizing unlisted videos help the channel in any way? I think optimizing everything is going to help. Now, unlisted means Google, don't search this, do not post this anywhere else. So unlisted is not really, necessarily going to help or hurt you. I think that optimizing it either way, if you are unlisting a video and you're still sending it to people, it's still going to increase the user experience to have it optimized. So I think if you think about the client first, even if it's not going to be searchable for Google as an unlisted video, it's still going to help the client, and that will help your overall score too, because Google or YouTube watches all of that. It watches your view times. Even on the unlisted videos, it's going to look at all of the stats for that, and it's going to say, okay, this is how usable this video is. So if you ever did decide to go back in and relist that video or put that out to the masses, that is going to help it overall. So I think when in doubt, optimize. So it may or may not help you depending on how you're using it. It does depend on how you're using it. Let's see. When doing search, I think you're trying to say when you're searching a word in TubeBuddy, what does the two numbers mean like 73 out of 100. Yeah, so 73 out of 100, what you're looking at there is just an overall score. It's ranking a bunch of different factors. You'll see all the different statistics that it's ranking in. It's basically averaging all of those out to give you an overall score. Now, one thing I don't want you to do is get hung up on getting 100 out of 100, because generally speaking, you're not going to get 100 out of 100 on most keywords that are good keywords, because what you're having to deal with is you're also having to deal with search volume versus like if it's a short tail keyword, a long tail keyword, how many times it's getting searched, that type of situation. And so sometimes what you'll find is that you'll get 100 out of 100, but there's absolutely no search volume. So it means that there's no competition for it. I mean, there's a lot of things that could give you 100%, and it's very deceiving. So I like to look at it and say, okay, I'd like to look at a score that has, you know, as high of a score as possible. I like to kind of do it relative to what other keywords I'm searching for. So say that you choose 3 or 4 different keywords to search. All of them have great search traffic. All of them have low competition, but one of them's a 50, one of them's a 75, one of them's a 90. I'm obviously going to choose the one that has 90, but they all have, you know, relatively good search volume and just a relatively good competition score. So those are kind of the things that I look at more than anything. So I wouldn't get hung up on an actual 100%. That's where a lot of people go wrong, because you can get 100% for a keyword that absolutely no one searches for. Because some of the ranking factors in there weigh a little bit heavier, and for some reason the search volume is not one of the things that weighs the heaviest when they do that search. So you can definitely get some 100% for no reason on TubeBuddy. So keep that in mind when you're doing your searches. Search volume is really king for me, and then competition is second. So I'd look at those two factors more than the score itself. William Jason says, do you think that walkthrough videos that don't have us in it or any talking would hurt the channel or bore some subscribers when they receive the notifications of new videos? No, I don't necessarily think. Now, I definitely wouldn't have that be the majority of your content. I would say that if you're going to have 1 or 2 of those walkthrough videos from time to time, those can actually rank pretty well. I mean, it really depends on how you do the SEO and the actual the optimization of everything. But I think that if you have those sprinkled in from time to time, that's not going to hurt you. Now, I don't think you should, like I said, I think that those are more of an incorporation rather than a dedication of your entire channel. I would say, generally speaking, having you on camera more often is going to be more effective than not. But yeah, it's not going to hurt your channel having a few of those here and there. Like if you just had like a walkthrough video or a listing video that you wanted to throw up there, make sure it's optimized and let her rip. You know, I think it's totally fine. Especially when compared to our more engaging videos that you suggest, could it cause a loss of subscribers? You know, any video can cause you a loss of subscribers. And really, I wouldn't be too concerned about losing subscribers, because that just means that the person who was on the channel before isn't finding value in what you're offering, and they're not your ideal client. So I wouldn't worry too much about losing subscribers. Generally speaking, if you're creating content on a consistent basis, you're not going to really lose a ton of followers all at once. It may just be somebody that maybe they came because they thought you were good looking or something, and they followed you for that, and then they realized, oh, this person's all about real estate. I actually didn't really want to follow all of that stuff, and so they'll unfollow you. So just think about that. Sometimes people follow you for different reasons, and they're not necessarily your ideal client. So it's okay to lose subscribers. Don't get too hung up on that. Now, if you lose 20 subscribers one day, maybe you need to go back to the last video that you just put out and see what happened there. But generally speaking, I wouldn't be too concerned about losing stuff. It happens to everyone. We all lose subscribers. Even the high and mighty Levi loses, subscribers on a daily basis, but we gain more than we lose. And so I would look at that more than, oh, I'm losing a subscriber. That means that I'm doing something wrong. It just may mean that you have somebody who got on there. It could be a bot that followed you that just fell off the map too. That happens all the time too. So I wouldn't get too concerned about that. And then, of course, your content, adding a home tour that you're just kind of walking through a home, showing a listing or something like that, it's not going to hurt your channel. And that's the beautiful thing about YouTube, is that YouTube, it's very individualistic. Like the types of videos that you throw up, every video is ranked individually. Now, of course, there's an element of that adds to the overall health of your channel, but every video is going to rank for different reasons. The keywords and the optimization, that gives you power to be able to make your videos very powerful. Even if you had a poor performing video before, you have the power to actually move that next video way past that, because it's ranked based on what you do within the video, with a small portion of that coming back to the overall health of your channel. So one video will not derail you, which is why we always test stuff. We're always open to testing things, because one video is not going to derail your entire channel. All right, well, I think that was a really good question to end on. So we'll go ahead and wrap up today. Again, I just wanted to remind everybody that, again, we do have our video editing that is going to be going up in price on April 10th. So if you're interested in that, we do an info call where you can ask me questions about that. So just go to passiveprospecting.com / I think it's video editing services. You can also, there's a tab on passiveprospecting.com for video editing that you can just click on. And there's a button that you can sign up for a group call with me to ask me questions about that. Also, make sure, if you haven't already, to go ahead and grab Levi's new book, Passive Prospecting. That's on Amazon right now, and you can get it on hardcover or soft cover as well. It's a really great book. We've been getting a ton of amazing feedback on that, so make sure that you grab a copy of that. And then otherwise, if you have questions in the meantime, make sure that you pop into our Facebook group, or if you're in our school group with our course clients, feel free to ask questions there. We've got our client support manager that's in there, or client care manager, sorry, that's in there all the time helping us out. And then me and Levi and Travis like to pop in there and answer questions as well. So we'd love to help you if you have questions in the meantime. But otherwise, we'll just plan on seeing you guys on the next training. See you guys later.